What is going on, guys? I'm Crazy Pickle and welcome back to another Skyforge class video. Today we're gonna talk about the next defense classes, which is the Knight. So again, as usual, we're gonna start talking and reading about every ability, kind of show a little showcasing how they look like and what they do. Alright guys, let's get started. Again, basic attack is a spear attack, which has 4 different combinations. First one is the Smashing Strike. Inflicts X amount of damage to the enemy. Pack monsters will also be knocked down. Next one is a Stray Attack 2, inflicts X damage to surrounding enemies. The Knight brings up a shield that absorbs damage equal to 0.33% of the Knight's maximum health for each affected enemy for 2 seconds. Third combination is the Crushing Blow, deals X amount of damage to selected enemy and X amount of damage to enemies around them, restores 2 points of willpower and activates Companion's attack that hits the main target. Crushing Blow deals 120% more damage when Companion's attack is activated and when used against stunned, immobilized, scared, blinded, and disoriented enemies. Damage to slowed enemies is increased by 60%. And the last combination for the basic attack is the Resolute Strike. A series of strikes inflicts X damage. The attack can be used for 50 willpower, which is your energy, again, blue bar underneath your health. In that case, the attack will inflict X damage and cause wound that deals X damage every second for 3 seconds and is refreshed when the target moves. Next ability is the Battering Ram. Deals X damage to all enemies in front of the character. Activates Companion attack on impact. If you hold down the button, the Knight will charge forward, delivering a blow at the end of the run. The attack requires 50 stamina. Collision with the target will end the run. Successful attack will restore 25 stamina. Battering Ram stuns enemies for 2 seconds and inflicts 120% more damage when Companion attack is activated. Next ability, Havoc, inflicts X damage to enemies in a large area around the Knight, tossing them up in the air and pulling them towards the Knight. After landing, their movement speed is reduced by 75% for 3 seconds. Inflicts 25% more damage if it hits 3 enemies. Damage is increased by an extra 5% for each enemy above 3, up to 25%. Next ability is the Falcon Attack. Falcon inflicts X damage to enemy at the range of up to 30 yards and applies Infirmity that increases the damage inflicted by the Knight by 30% for 6 seconds. Falcon attack also charges your spear. The next attack with the charged spear will inflict extra damage equals to X amount of damage. Next ability, Resolute Rebuff. Absorbs all incoming damage as long as the Knight stands still while using it up to 3 seconds. When it ends, inflicts damage to all nearby enemies in the amount equal to the damage absorbed but no more than 25% of the Knight's maximum health. Monsters are also forced to attack the Knight for the duration of the attack and 3 seconds after it ends. Spear Throw. Throws a spear at the enemy, inflicts X amount of damage and forcing the target to attack the Knight for 3 seconds. The ability deals 200% more damage if the enemy is more than 10 yards away. Tantrum. Generates 100 points of willpower, which is your energy underneath your health bar, increases the Knight's damage dealt by 40%, increases the range of weapons by 50%, and abilities that consumes willpower will create a shield around the Knight that absorbs damage equal to 15% of the Knight maximum health for 4 seconds. Duration 20 seconds. Mighty Swing reduces the cooldown of the ability by 30 seconds. Barrier. Defensive stance that reduces incoming damage by 25%, but willpower regeneration rate is reduced by 50%. Using abilities that consumes willpower make the barrier last 3 seconds longer and it absorbs twice as much damage, reflecting half of the absorbed damage back at the enemy. The amount of reflected damage cannot exceed 12% of the maximum health of the Knight. Using Lunge restores 1 point of the willpower and extends the duration of enhanced barrier by 1 second. And the ultimate ability, which is the called Whiplash, restores 100% of the Knight maximum health and inflicts X damage to nearby enemies. Can be activated within 5 seconds of taking fatal damage. So meaning basically when you kind of died but you're not dead yet, you can use this ultimate ability to resurrect yourself and restore 100% of your health. Finisher Strike, Mighty Swing. Inflicts fatal damage, available when the enemy has a small amount of health left. It restores 35 points of willpower. Then we have the talents. First one is the Fortitude. Increases companion attack damage by 30%. When the attack is activated, it restores 12 willpower. Killing an enemy will instantly restore companion's attack. If it's already available, the knight will be able to perform an additional attack. You can have up to 2 extra companions attack at a time. The knight generates 400% more threat. And the Ellyrium 9 talent, which is Ellyrium Spearhead. Spear throw used from a distance of at least 10 yards applies an effect to the target for 4 seconds, which inflicts X amount of damage every second when target is moving. For the PvP abilities, the only thing it changes, you get additional 3 kind of different abilities. One is the Stunning Blow. The knight leaps towards the enemy and stuns them for 2.75 seconds, almost 3 seconds. When they land, the knight inflicts X amount of damage to nearby targets. And then the talent is Unshakable. The knight is immune to control effects if their control resistance is more than 0. Incoming damage reduced that value while players attack, and companions attack increases it. And I think the spray attack for the combination looks a little bit different compared to the PvE one. And I think that's basically all. For the PvE ability, Barrier uses only lunge combination and stray attack too. That's basically all, but it's really useful to use when you target when you tanking a single target. And I think that's all for the abilities. We're gonna move on to the equipment. All right, talking about gear. So jewelry and gems of power will be the same as the defense setup. So I already showed that once. You should know what stats you need to have for the jewelry and gems of power. Weapons. Again, if you don't have special weapons like this, then you can use just purple, blue weapons, but preferably it's still good to use the special weapons just because for the stats, the key stats, if you can get the general defense, and the secondary stats, of course, melee defense and range defense. It's all about the defense. The special weapons are really good, at least in my opinion, that I'm using is the Gorgonite weapon, Seth and Python, the Viper Guard, or people actually uses Icer, I believe I pronounced that right, Might of the Heavens. They all have a different, bonus abilities. For example, the Gorgonite one is creates a rift that deals damage to the enemies around you, and the Knight's Tantrum and the Whiplash are restored faster, so kind of decreasing the cooldown or something, or just speeding up the cooldown of those abilities. Compared to this ability, the finishing combo attacks and using abilities that consumes willpower grants the knight a chance to gain Vanguard charges. You can have up to 3 charges. Each charge increases the capacity of shields applied to the knight by 15%. So basically, you get to get shield by somebody like a Lightbinder or Alchemist, and it will increase that. Those Vanguard's charges will increase that by 15%, so it's up to like 45% if it goes 1 charge 15%, so it's stack up to 3, should be 45, I believe. I might be wrong. If I am, just let me know, because I never used that weapon at all, so I kind of like in the dark for this part of the weapon. There is also Oceanite weapon. The good one is because of the Whiplash can be used at any level of the health. So even if you're still alive, you can use that to restore 20% of health to you and nearby allies. And a cooldown will be 150 seconds. So I think all these 3 weapons are good in maybe certain situations, I would say, but I'm mostly using the Gorgonite, so it works for me anyway. Again, the other artifacts like Ages of Victory, you can use that on the knight as well if you get in a lot of stuns, fears, and all that. But basically, if you just for the single targets, Ages of the Ocean should work fine. Abilities, I mean actually symbols, basically the same thing as other defense setups, but in that case, again, Protheus Trident or the Layered Sword. Again, this is the single target. This is pulling enemies to you if it's improved. If you don't have an improved one, it's not really useful to use it. So I'm using green one, Divine Punisher, for the class ability, class symbols. Using Falcon attack will make a next use of ability free and increases the damage by 200%. Attack with a charged spear after a boosted Falcon attack will reduce the cooldown of Whiplash by 10 seconds. So that's kind of good if you want to get your ultimate ability faster. Then the next one is the Mighty Onslaught. A long run during battering ram increases damage from its impact by that amount of damage and extends the duration of stun by whatever the seconds, if companion's attack has been activated. The Hidden Anger. Tantrum is recharged 50% faster if the knight is surrounded by 3 and more enemies. Kind of good. I think the green and maybe red one are good ones. Usually I use all the time green. Maybe red one will be good for PvP, so I am not sure. Never PvPing as a knight. So whoever's playing knight, if everybody playing knight, please let me know. But for the whole thing, I'm just using the Divine Punisher. Any other symbols, basic symbols are the same, emblems of protection or maybe emblems of mercy. Then the maneuver dodge, protective shell, refractive barrier, defense mode, reactive material that I'm using, and stolen energy. And that's basically all for the symbols. Think that's basically all. We're just gonna go and move on to the good and bad parts. I'm gonna be wrong in certain situations. Definitely let me know in the comment section down below. All right, let's move on. All right, guys. So the good and the bad parts. So what we can talk about it. I couldn't find any, a lot of bad parts. I think the only one I don't like, but just partially, it's the Allurium 9 talent, which is the Allurium Spearhead. It makes sense why they made that, and specifically it's really good for PvP, but not really for PvE. So just because it's a damage-wise kind of a talent, so it doesn't really useful for PvE, because as a knight you usually run as a full defense setup, so you don't deal a lot of damage whatsoever. So if they could have done it in a different way, for example, if that Allurium 9 talent works differently for PvE option, and of course the way it's right now for PvP, then maybe it would be good. But again, I don't see a lot of knights in PvP. Usually it's paladins, fire starters, sound weavers, those guys, groove walkers. So I don't really saw a lot of knights. So if somebody's playing knight in PvP, please let me know in the comment section down below, and tell me how it actually goes. Because I know before the knight it was actually really good, so I'm not sure how it is right now. But in general, and I think that is all actually, sorry, that is all actually about the bad parts. I don't notice anything else. Basically every other ability, if you don't count the basic and right clicks attacks, every other ability is actually pretty good. The Havoc is pulling enemies, to you, deals a lot of damage, is slowing them down, I believe, or something like that. So shields, aggros, spear throws to taunt the enemies, tantrum to buff yourself, restore the energy, the barrier that reducing a specific amount of damage against you. Like, it's pretty good. And then you have Whiplash that you can resurrect yourself and all that. It's really good. This tank is really good. Mostly I would say for the single target. You can still do it for multiple enemies. When you tank in a lot of enemies on you, you can definitely do that. But I think he is the best for tanking single target bosses like distortions. Some of the actually bosses and distortions requires to have the knight, simply because you don't want to pull too many things around the boss if something happening, like a mobs or something else, maybe some kind of some other stuff. So you really don't want to do that. But yeah, the knight is very good tank for the single targets, at least in my opinion. So I want to hear your thoughts on the knight. Please leave them in the comment section down below. And yes, there is nothing else to tell. I know it's kind of a weird thing in not really, I don't want to say prepared for it, but I couldn't just find anything like really in depth to find something. And again, I'm trying to just generalize it in this overviews videos. I don't want to go too in depth on each class because it's going to take too long. And I'm not really maybe really good at it at the moment for now. So that's what I'm doing, just a general idea and what I see from the class. And if I play the class, because it's going to be really tough for the certain classes for me to do the overview, because I rarely even play them, maybe like once or twice, and I never touch the class whatsoever. So, but again, that's the only bad part I kind of don't like. It's the Allurium 9 talent. for the defense class like that would be something a little bit better, maybe some kind of a buff for certain maybe ability or something like that. But in general, every other ability I do like. Everything is really good. Defense and all that, the barriers, the reduction damage and protecting yourself and all that. So it's really, really good. So yes, I think that's gonna be all, guys, for this video. If you still have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. I will respond as soon as I can. As always, don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notification that you're not gonna miss new video I post. Follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server. All the links you can find in the description. And until the next time, take care.